No.
Okay, you said topicality, case, speciesism?
Yep.
Right.
Alright. Topicality, big mistake. You can see that the U.S. equals the people that Doug and I are the United States, which means that we don't have to defend any form of government action. Legalization in this context just means that we law for there are no prohibitions. We don't regulate ourselves from smoking marijuana, which means that we still solve your form of offense, means that we still access policing because it is a function of individuals. We still cause a spillover because it means that we form affinity groups to challenge the state on this question. We lead to a form of action or challenge or some form of revolution, which means that we solve all the apple. We don't lead to any of your arguments because they're all in the context of state legalization causing some form of regulation. The case page, all of the analysis that she does is in the context of state legalization framework. Topicality, you're going to see that we don't need to be that. We don't need to be that, which means that we don't link even if we do lead to legalization after that, but it fundamentally changes. You can see that we have fundamentally changed the way in which state and which the state operates because there is no longer capital. Because there's no longer capital, so that there are no forms of regulation on that. That they don't operate in that sort of biopolitical. There's no regulation on that regulation, which means that there is no there's no reason why they would why they disproportionately regulate against minorities, or why especially when we destroy capitalism. And that means that there is no reason why there's a white rich guy who takes over and hurts minority groups. Also means that we don't link to the neoliberal arguments because they're about regulating yourself. The app doesn't do that because the app says you should just be able to do whatever you want. Yeah, that's fine. The biopower arguments, yes, biopower is inevitable to question the structures that control your evidence. Just says that there are little democratic institutions that stop things like genocide. Yes, the U.S. is not able to just declare we want to genocide someone, but it does that the 1AC does say that they can use anxiety in order to create violence, or in order to create invisible forms of violence against the other, as well as the seeing evidence which says that we can reproduce the other in ways that cause violence to be allowed to be done on them. The spillover arguments we accident as the police analysis, but we point to the specific attack on marijuana, which is a jumping point to the larger structure of capitalism. They have conceded the affinity groups argument, which means that they have conceded that as long as we saw for that mobilization, i.e. the focus on the DVN, which is conceded, which is a conceded argument that is that we are sufficient to solve. It doesn't matter for time frame because a lot of these arguments are not dependent on each other, not dependent on that sort of time frame. Capitalist is another link to the securitization argument. So the one is the evidence says that we try to create anxiety, i.e. things like you need to protect yourselves against short time frame between short time frame arguments is problematic. That is a criticism of what I see probably reproduces that form of social control, the anthropic. The permutation to be a perm, do both is necessary and solves all of their offense for a few reasons. One is the root cause is a wash, which comes historically capitalism was a drive, was commodified certain bodies, make their lives less. Level 2, this means that structural capitalism leads to species violence. The 3, the all can never actualize its politics without the affirmative. We agree theory is useful, which is why the permutation is key solves because it combines the theories for the best possible outcomes. This remedies the link because it allows for the expansion of conscious person, which we have indicated to solve this. A few net benefits of the permutation. One is the anxiety, we wanted the affinity groups, which is necessary to be able to mobilize against these structures which allow for capital anxiety in the first place. 2 is that even if the app is an imperfect method, it actually leads to mobilization, which is necessary to attack systems which create violence in the status quo. And the links to the one is here just a snapshot. App forefront of the deviant is necessary to create a space where we can actually raise consciousness. Marijuana is a weak point, which means that the app is necessary to raise consciousness and then mobilize for that form of conscious raising to be effective. All their root cause arguments just assume the way in which we treat people, the way in which we treat people. If we which means that if we see people as less than human, then we are obliged to do violence on them. That doesn't explain how capitalism sees people who are, doesn't explain how capitalism sees people who are poor. That doesn't dehumanize them, but they are still just tools for capitalism, which are deeper evidence says that capitalism reproduces that form of reproduces in the context of animals. Things like factory farms prove that argument because it says that even if we come from the standpoint, even if we see the standpoint and are able to see from the point of the animal, that just means that even if they are on the same level, there's a remedy the way in which capitalism still just sees them as a tool, which means that the alternative doesn't have the same form of explanatory power necessary in order to solve the larger structure of the capitalism. If we win a single risk of the disad, that is a disad to the alternative. They cannot remedy the entirety of the app impacts. It's not a better explanation for anxiety because the way in which capitalism structures those sorts of way in which capitalism and the state structure those sorts of arguments. The biopower links are even if they win all those, then that doesn't explain away the sort of the affirmative or very evidence. also in the context of, in the way in which we produce, in the way in which we see the earth as a resource that, as a resource, even if we see from the standpoint, even if their best evidence is correct, that is not sufficient to overcome the reasons why we have a drive for, the reasons why we have a drive for growth. Everyone else, it's pretty natural for you to want to continue yourself and to thrive, which means that even if they win that, it lowers the threshold for the economy, the very evidence still indicates that we would consume. Attacking capitalism is necessary. It also proves why the permutation is net beneficial, because it is the two intersections of their form of argument. The 2 and C makes the argument how they are intersected, which means that an analysis of both capitalism and speciesism is necessary. What?
Answer theory.
Oh yeah, the permutation is not separate and incorporates both the entirety of the affirmative value, the focus on embracement of anxiety through marijuana, but it also says that we should incorporate. It also says that we should incorporate. It also says that we should incorporate a standpoint of. We should incorporate an analysis of the standpoint of the animal. The even if it is, which means it's not severance. Even if it is severance, that's just a reason to reject the permutation.
5:44 left.